So the subject of this build is going to be this Dodge Charger here. It's very similar to the original casting. I'll show you guys in the book a little bit later. I want to get it looking like one of the originals. So it's figuring out what type of decal kit I want to run on here. And I want to put the numbers on the doors and get a Spectra flame. And Plum Crazy Purple is a popular Chrysler color. I'm going to do a Spectra flame purple. And I have a theory, but I want to grind the rims down to see if they can be turned into spindles or whatever you call them. You can kind of see them in there. These wheels just pop on. If it works, cool. Then I have something that works for me. And this one doesn't have the molded engine bay separate. It's integrated. If you look at these modern ones, you can kind of see this engine bay is separate from the car. You can really see it on this one here. I'm thinking because they want to be able to run hoods or no hoods, so they'd make it easier just to drop an engine bay in there separate. So here is example from the book of the Chargers. And if you look at it, it is identical on the exterior. I don't know about the underside. I'm thinking the underside is pretty close. It's just a little bit more detail that's been added. But that's not the point. Because this car was never built as a spoilers model, I think it would be neat to see one done as a proper spoilers, make it look period correct. So we got to change out the wheels, get Spectra flame on here. The car is cool as is. The door lines, they're there, done the same way. The tail panel matches. The trunk lines match, even the front end, it's done right. So this car will be a perfect candidate to make a spoilers model out of. It just might not get the rear tail spoiler because that's something that I can't do unless maybe I can figure out how to do that as well. It'll just be a glued on piece and polished up as well off of another car. So we'll work on that and see what we come up with. The Charger is apart and the axles actually just weren't even fastened in there, just to grind them down and see what happens. The middle one used to be like this, and you can grind them down and they'll fit in here almost. I pretty much just take and grind the front off on the bench grinder and the wheel pops off. Then you just clean it up a bit. The thing is, it doesn't quite fit, so I'm going to drill it out one side and see what that does. So your bearings won't be white, but once you drill this out, you can actually just take and stick this in there. Then you got, if you ever need to redo old Hot Wheels, you can use the new wheels for that. But the bit looks like it's a 5/32 hole size that we're using. As you can see, I got the reproduction rims from Redline Shop on the back, and the original ones are in the front because I don't have any deep dish for the front. But I'm feeling that it needs to sit a little bit taller, so I have a plan that is going to involve a cutoff disc to raise the height of this car. Because if you're looking at the originals, they sit a little taller. This is a little too low for the stance of what this car needs. So to raise the height, just cutoff disc, and it's going to have to be JB Welder where I'm done, but you can see I've run a slit through there versus not there, so I'm going to do both of them now. You look at it now, I got a little more ride height out of the thing. That's kind of what the spoilers need. So I'm going to do paint strip on here. I'm hoping this isn't the style of paint that doesn't come off with paint strip, or we'll find out shortly. And with the purple car, you gotta have a white interior, so we're gonna have to paint this thing white yet at some point. So I just bought this paint because it was cheap. It was like under $5 Canadian, and it's flat white, so we're gonna use that on the interior. Alright, I got a spoiler on the back of this car now. It's held on with Gorilla Glue, and this spoiler is off of one of the modern day spoilers cars, but now at least you got the spoiler on there, and it's made out of the same material. The other thing you can see is I'm wet sanding with 600 grit, because check out how rough that is. And there she is. I started with 400 grit and went down to 600 grit, got all the imperfections out, so now it's time to start polishing. So I got the car all polished, and the next step is to take it down to the shop and give it some purple paint. Guys, I forgot one detail in this build that is actually fairly important to building a spoilers car. And if you look at them, they all have front spoilers. This one now does too. There was a casting that came out a while ago that was based off of this, a red line spoilers, and I had one that was brittle and fell apart, but the chassis was good. So I ended up taking this spoiler off of that style of car that was on this style, and I cut it down and was able to Gorilla Glue it in place. Package just arrived in the mail from Redline Shop, and here is the Spectra Flame Purple. It's going to look great on the large and in Charger. I think it's going to work well because it's going to be like plum crazy in a sense. And I got the rivets. So this will be add to the vintage look to get the rivets in the car. And the other thing I got from Redline Shop were some deep dish front wheels. I had to polish the Charger again, but it's ready for paint now. It had sat a little bit because once I got this car ready, I had to order the paint for it once I decided on going purple. Purple made sense to me, so we got Redline shirt up, purple SP17, and we're going to add the hardener to it. I have to look at it again to see what the hardener ratio is. The paint is mixed at 5 parts to 1 part hardener, and let's mix that up in the airbrush. I'm just using my airbrush. Yeah, it's a Badger 150 is what I'm using for this. And I'm just going to mix it in the little cup. That tends to work very well. I got the droppers here, the gloves, and some lacquer thinner and some brushes for cleaning between coats. And it's about a 5-minute wait between coats. First coat on, tack coat. I think I'm going to do 2 or 3 tack coats just to start getting that color up, break that surface tension, I guess. And I had to tape this up. My hardener actually dried its lid on, so interesting. I'll have to find another bottle for that. There's our second tack coat. So here's third tack coat. You can tell it's dull. I think I'm going to do one more tack coat on the car. It's got a lot of sharp edges. Like if you look at the door lines, the spoilers are sharp in the back, and the trunk lines, and in the engine bay. So I think we'll do one more tack coat, really light, and then we'll go for the shiny coat. Final medium wet tack coat, a little heavier than the rest. And then after that, we are going to go with one heavy coat. I think we've got enough coverage on the jams to get away with that now. The camera, as I compared to the real, is actually darker purple, and I like the one on the car a little bit better. Maybe in better lighting we'll be able to get a better shot of that for you guys. Here's the finished product with the 5th coat on it. It was 4 tack coats and 1 final coat. Let's see if we can brighten it up here a little bit. There we go. So I got a sheet of numbers from the Redline Shop, and I think I'm going to put number 7 on. I feel like 7 is a good number for this car. I already have a 3, a 6, a 2, and I think 7 will work for this car. It's kind of the number I'm feeling for it. And as far as stripes go in the back, I'm going to be having to figure out, I want to do a double white stripe, but I got to figure out what material to use for that, because Redline Shop doesn't sell one that'll go around the car in that shape in the back. There it is. Got the 7 on there, the racing numbers. And here are the deep dish front wheels. They need to go in this car. So they were on order, and they've come in along with the purple paint. So we'll get them on there, and that'll finish up this chassis almost. I mixed up the JB Weld, and I think I'll show this in the last video I built with spoilers. I'm just going to put a little bit of JB Weld on there. There's the motor. Alright, the last step is JB welding the chassis onto the body, along with the reproduction rivets, which are right here. So all I'm going to do is put a little bit of JB weld in each stud. and we grab the chassis or the floor pan, put it on here. Then we want to snap it in. So then we take our reproduction rivets and just drop them in the hole. And here's the second one. Now when you look at it, it looks the part, and wipe off the excess JB Weld, and the chassis dries in the 5 minutes it takes for the quick stuff to dry, and it's done. Sometimes you have to do things twice. In this case, I was gluing the rivets on, and I set it down on a piece of paper that had crazy glue on, and I could not get it off, and it started peeling once I had to use acetone, which I figured would happen, so I stripped it down while it's fresh, and I'm just going to paint it one more time, and I'll show you guys when it's done. So repaint is done. I guess third time's a charm. First time I tried a different kind of Spectra flame paint, and it did not Spectra flame at all, from a different brand that I bought at Canadian Tire. So I went with Redline, had an awesome paint job, screwed it up. Now I got this one again. So 2 paint jobs one evening. I would like to make stripes on this car, the RT Charger style stripes, and I wasn't sure what to do, but I think I can use electrical tape and a razor blade and cut it skinny. There's my practice piece, so I'll give that a shot and see if it works. The large and in Charger is done. I'm very happy with the result. Alright guys, I'm pretty excited about the end result of this large and in Charger spoilers Hot Wheels Redline car. It has turned out super, and probably one of the ones that I'm most excited at having completed in the last little while. So let's get some beauty shots on it now.